Entrepreneurs always ask me, have you got any advice? And I think giving advice to entrepreneurs is dangerous because I think everyone has a very different context, a very different experience. So the ones that I made a little list here, is I think you've got to create a plan. That sounds obvious, but people don't. They just crash on, I've got an idea, but you need a plan, that especially if you've got shareholders and people involved, you can come back to and just check that you're still on track. And also in these days, plans have to be able to change, keep it flexible. In the new economy, as I call it, in the old days you had a company, loads of fixed costs, and you tried to generate revenue that would cover your fixed costs, then you could manage your variable cost. In the new economy, business and markets move very, very quickly, so try and avoid fixed costs. Cloud computing, for example, makes all your comms and infrastructure variable. You can work from anywhere in the world, it doesn't matter. You try and avoid fixed costs, create a plan, but be very willing and quickly capable of changing that plan, because the world isn't what it used to be. I always say that my mum, she could get a job for 20, 30 years, quite happily. These days you can't. In the UK, if you've got a job for more than 3 or 5, you're doing quite well. So really, business now is a real alternative to having a job, I believe. Equity. Don't just on day one say to people, yeah, come on board, you want 10%? I like you, I'll give you 20%. That is why you're doing it. Treat that stuff like gold dust. Structure options, structure equity. If people leave, you can take it off them. Don't end up with people that on day one seem perfect and day 2 not quite right, and they're stuck with half of your company. Think about it. Think about equity. Think about how you structure dealing with equity and sharing it out. Think big. I think think big, especially in Barbados. You can have a fantastic business here, let's face it, but the market's only so big, isn't it? So think big. Think about global trends. Think about getting into that flow. At Outsourcery, we saw a massive global trend that we couldn't really appreciate, cloud computing, and we decided to get into it. You'd have to start big. You could start a business like Outsourcery in Barbados, deal with this market, and move in the Caribbean and move it outwards too. You don't need to be confined to your own country. And also, as I said before, network. These events are amazing. I think it's a fantastic opportunity for entrepreneurs to get together, meet each other, talk, meet professionals, always seek advice. Don't think you know it all, because you don't. You will make, as an entrepreneur, n number of mistakes that everyone else makes that you don't need to make. You can have a conversation with people involved in BEF, for example, or just people that you know in the family that have businesses, and ask them, how do I get over this hurdle? Don't be afraid. Ask for advice. So lastly, I'm going to talk about Barbados. So I've been here, as I said, 24 hours. My mind's spinning about the sort of opportunities here. I think it is potentially a very exciting opportunity. You've got some people here involved in the BEF, seem to be very, very passionate about the island, about the opportunity. Barbados is a place that people want to visit. It's a place where there's a huge, well-educated workforce. There's clearly a growing number of entrepreneurs here. So the question really is how do you put this all together to create a country that can be a leading entrepreneurial hub by 2020? I think if I could draw in the back of an envelope, it's actually quite simple. It's not that complicated. We were talking earlier with Paul about, tax regimes, and can you just look at the best of breed and replicate it and improve it? Can you create the best infrastructure? You cannot build an entrepreneurial economy, or any economy these days, without decent connectivity. So I was using a metaphor earlier that in the old days, you built roads, canals, and railways. Now you're building information superhighways, internet connections. You can't expect an economy to grow and be all it can be with 1 meg download and 250K upload. It's not going to work. That will have a direct impact on GDP, your connectivity, that speed of connection. So I think Barbados really is somewhere where I'm sort of excited about. I think my business there, could I bring Outsourcing to Barbados? Probably, because the infrastructure is scalable. I could maybe franchise it here, maybe become the cloud hub of the Caribbean if the connectivity works. It's a massive amount of opportunity. I think the world is changing, okay? I think in the old days, look at any economy, any empire, and who built it. It was built on commerce. And commerce was won really through entrepreneurialism and wars. I'm not going to suggest that Barbados systematically invades the rest of the Caribbean. I think that's a whole different speech. So I think it boils down to the entrepreneurs, doesn't it? Is that entrepreneurs are the basis of the growth and success of any economy throughout history. So I'm an entrepreneur. I can see the faces out there tonight. All I would do is say to the powers that be is support your entrepreneurs, make sure they have the right infrastructure, the right incentive, the right tax breaks, the access to capital, the right internet connectivity, which is clearly important going forwards. Support them, and this ambition can be achieved. As I said before, you make your own luck, but I do wish you all good luck. Thank you.